Hi John, thanks for coming in today.
No worries.
So welcome to Pinnacle Training. Today we're going to be working on BSBC MM211, Apply Communication Skills. So just before we start, I'll just need you to fill out this record of attendance sheet. So this is what we use when we send you to confirm that you have enrolled in the course, that you have attended, and this is what we'll use with your name for your certification.
Yep.
So at the end of it, when you finish your assessments and you're competent, deemed competent, this is what we'll use. So my name is Lynda Haydon, it's up here on the screen. The training program is BSBC MM211, Apply Communication Skills. Today is the 21st of April 2025. That's gone very quickly, hasn't it?
Yep.
I'll just get you to put your name in there for me. And just tick that you attended training. And then I'll fill the rest out later. Thanks for that. And so, as I said before, my name's Lynda. I'll be your trainer today for Apply Communication Skills. My background is accounting and work health and safety. So in both those roles, communication is really important to find out what our clients need and how we can effectively communicate back to them. Yep. So we're going to do an icebreaker to begin with. So this is just basically an introduction for you to tell me a little bit more about yourself so that we can work through that as we go through the content of our training today. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it's called a name tent, and it's going to end up like this. So it's basically a three-sided tent. Okay, so, and the objective of the icebreaker is to become better acquainted, to provide focus on the topic, so to break us out of everything that's going on outside and coming in and focusing on apply communication skills. It's going to take about 2 to 3 minutes to do. Okay, so I've given you a copy of a blank piece of paper. So what I need you to do, I need you to fold it into thirds and make a triangular tent similar to that. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave one side, being the bottom, blank. So we're going to leave that blank, and on the front we're going to get you to put your name. You can decorate that later in the break if you'd like to. And then on the back we're going to divide it into 4 quadrants, so similar to this here. Okay, and we're going to, you can either write or draw some things about yourself, and I'm going to give you some guidelines on what to do in each quarter. So the first one is your worst fear. So you can either draw it or write it, whatever works. And the next one is your interest. So what hobby or interest do you have? The next one is the best vacation spot. And the last one is your favourite sport. So what do you like to do? Either you can watch it or play it, whichever you like, whether it's watching a sport or playing a sport.
I've messed that up. I'm not real good at writing and reading, so
No, that's okay. Even if you just wanted to, write a picture. We're just going to talk through it anyway, so you can talk through it later. That's not a problem at all. Okay. Perfect. Thanks for that. I might just go and turn that buzzer off. I'll just back in a sec. Back in a tick. Can I turn that off?
Yeah. That's it. Oh, yeah, you can.
Okay, so thanks for that. Do you want to run me through what you've done? So if you could share what you've got there. So what's your worst fear?
Heights.
Heights. So is that being at heights?
Yeah, I don't like being at heights.
Oh, okay. How do you go in planes?
Yeah, no, that's alright.
That's okay.
Just on the edge, yep.
Yep. And your favourite interest? Or you can talk me through what you've got there.
Yeah, so interest is camping. I like the camping.
Mhm.
And then the sport was football.
Do you play or is it watching?
No, I just watch.
Yeah, yeah.
And then best vacation was Hawaii.
Oh, okay. So when did you go to Hawaii?
When I was a teenager.
Okay, some fond memories
A
there.
long time ago. Yeah.
Fond memories there.
Yeah.
We'll just pop that to the side for now, and we can go back to that later. If you could just put it up so that we can see it, that would be great. Thanks, John. So that's a nice little icebreaker. Thanks for all the communication in there, and yeah, thanks for sharing that you did struggle with reading and writing. Is there anything you wanted to, while it's just us in the room, is there anything you want to talk about whilst you're on that?
No, how much do I need to do on the computer here? Because I don't, I just need to use spell check and stuff like that. I'm not real good at writing and reading.
Okay. For this session here, there's nothing that you'll need to do on the computer.
Yep.
And if you have any questions or if there's something you don't understand, just stop me.
Yep.
Just make sure that you let me know and
Yep.
we can work through that.
Okay.
If you do have a lot of trouble reading and writing, there is the reading and writing hotline available.
Yep.
You can always get somebody, and I can show you that during the break if you're interested in picking those skills up at all.
Yep.
But yeah, whilst we're doing this, if there is any issues at all, just make sure you reach out and let me know, and we
Yep.
can definitely slow down and stop on that one. Okay, so one thing we do need to go through is some housekeeping. So in the event, sorry, I'll just reset this so it's easier for you to read. There we go. So some housekeeping. So the event, if in the event that there is a need to evacuate, so we've got some, if there's a fire or you see smoke or if there's an alarm sound, please reach out to me, let me know. We've got the 2 doors here as our evacuation. We're going to walk safely and calmly out the door to the muster point. The muster point is on the grass patch across the road.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll just do it in a nice, safe manner. I have done a scan of the room and the area and looked at the safe work practices. I've looked for trip hazards and electrical hazards and any other hazards. If whilst you're in the area you do come across something that you feel unsafe or you feel is unsafe, please reach out to me and we can get that rectified.
Yep.
Yep. Facilities, so we have kitchen facilities available behind us, and bathroom if you need a cuppa or a water or anything during the break. We'll try and keep that to the break, but yes, we can use those. And there's bathrooms just behind the wall over there. Telephones, if you can just ensure your phone's switched off.
Yep.
Please silence phones when they're in the room, and if you do need to make a call, make sure that we take it outside. We'll have a break every 30 minutes. So this session will run for 30 minutes and then we'll have a 10-minute break. If you smoke, there's no smoking in the building. Outside in the designated areas outside the building, smoking and vaping. Okay, so the outline of the course. So this course will allow you to gain significant knowledge and skills in the areas of applying basic communication skills in the workforce. So this includes identifying, gathering and conveying information along with completing assigned written information as well. So with that written information, if you have any questions or you need me to slow down, make sure that you reach out. Are you able to read the slides? Are they big enough for you?
No, I struggle with those. Are you reading through them, or have we got a screen reader or something?
Yeah, I'll read through them all
Yep.
for you. And if there is anything that you don't understand or you can't take
Yep.
in, make sure you reach out. Okay, so the learning objectives at the end of this program, you'll be able to identify communication requirements, demonstrate active listening. This is what we're going to work on today. So use verbal skills to seek and convey information. Use verbal and non-verbal skills to seek and convey information. And you're going to be able to draft written documents that meet your organisation requirements. So that's what our objectives are for the end of the whole course. You will be assessed. So this course is assessable. So there'll be a knowledge assessment that will take 1 hour. And that'll be short answer questions. So you'll be able to write or type those. We have 2 options available, and there'll be a case study scenario. And then we have a practical assessment of 1 hour. So you'll be working in groups and we'll be doing observations along the way for that practical assessment. Okay. So obviously a big part of this course is about giving feedback with communication. So when you're giving feedback, we're making sure that it's positive, that you're choosing the correct words or positive words. Consider the timing of when you're interrupting and communicating, when you're talking and responding, making sure that everyone in the room is given adequate time to talk, and using empathy.
Yep.
And that's a two-way street that goes with me as well. So if you feel like I'm taking over the conversation, or there's something you really need to say, put your hand up.
Yep.
Obviously, when receiving feedback, we're listening to the feedback given. You need to be aware of the responses, understanding the message. If you don't understand the message, coming back to the person and saying, can you re-clarify? Be open, and then after you've received feedback, say thank you and follow up.
Yep, no worries.
Do you have any questions so far in
No,
regards to
no.
the course outline?
No, not at the moment.
No. If that's the case, we're going to move on to the actual session.
Yep.
So this session, session 2, is about active listening. Yeah. So this is a really integral part of communication, being able to listen and understand actively. So in our last session, we identified communication requirements. Are there any questions about what we spoke about last session?
No.
No? And at the end of this session, you'll be able to demonstrate active listening for us, which is a vital component of being able to pass the course. Okay. So active listening. I've got a handout here for you. You can take that with you to read back on later if you want to, rather than you having to try and take it all in now. There's a really good handout there, and it outlines listening effective, some things that you can do. So to active listening, or to listen effectively, we need to not interrupt or talk over the speaker. We need to concentrate on what the speaker is saying to you. So avoid your personal listening blocks. So sometimes it's really hard to concentrate on what somebody's saying if you don't want to listen to it, but we need to be aware that somebody's listening, we're using these, we're looking at them, eyeballing them, trying to actively engage in that conversation. We use non-verbal signals to show you're paying attention. So they're things like making eye contact with the person, using an open posture, nodding, like you're nodding now. That shows that you're actively listening to me. And we also encourage the speaker to continue by using things such as murmurs, short words of encouragement. So just then you went, yes, yep. So, so nodding, acknowledging what that person's saying. They're all part of active listening. So the other thing is to summarize what the person said. For example, so you think that. So when somebody's come to you and said, I've done this, and then so you as an active listener would come back and go, so you think that, or so you want me to do this. So we're just re-clarifying it really in that active listening. So how would you in your everyday active listen? So if we look at the handout here, you know, so we're doing things like looking at the speaker, not at the floor or out of the window.
Yeah.
How else would you show that you're listening effectively and actively?
Yeah, just be alert to what they're saying. Yeah, look at the speaker, and just show that you're concentrating on what is actually being said.
Yep. So you were doing a lot of those verbal and non-verbal active listening skills.
Yep.
I think the big one there is sometimes you're focused on other things and your mind wanders, and that's where trying to bring yourself in to be an active listener sometimes helps. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one, and we're going to talk about what causes poor listening. So you'll also see on your handout here that I've given to you. So this is discussing what would cause poor listening. So what do you think would be a cause of poor listening, or show that you've got poor listening? You can use the handle if you need to.
Not interested, fidgeting. Basically, no concentration. Not understanding what's being said. So after the conversation, you're not sure what was said. If you're given a direction, you don't know what it is after the conversation.
So what things could you do to be actively listening if you haven't listened in the first place? How do you
ask the questions?
Yep.
Just you might not hear correctly. Ask them to speak up. Ask them to be clearer. It might be the presentation rather than yourself. So if you can't hear, just make sure you're clear. Make sure you're clear on what you need. So you might need them to talk up, or you might need them to repeat what was said. Yeah.
So causes of poor listening, if we look at our handout here, could be low concentration. So this could be psychological, and it also could be physical situations like visual or auditory distractions. I could have a screen here that's bouncing around and showing lots of things, and it'll distract you and take your mind away from the question and listening. It'll be where your focus is on that. Could be physical discomfort. If you've got a sore back or something, that could also stop you from actively listening. There could be, like you said, inadequate volume, lack of interest, and there might be a personal bias as well. So sometimes we have do you know what a personal bias is?
No.
So it's when we believe something is correct and we're not likely to change our mind about it. So I might think something's black, and I'm determined that it's black, so I'm not going to listen to you when you say it's white because I know that it's black. So that's a personal bias.
Yeah. And at work, like I said before, I got trouble reading and writing. But if something's given to me on a paper form and written, I don't take it in because I can't read it, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want the company to hear it and know about my problem. So that's an issue with communication as well.
Yeah, so how do you work with that?
I don't at the moment. I don't want the company to know that I've got that issue.
Okay. Do you take it home and get somebody at home to help you through?
No, I just don't. I don't want anyone sort of to know the issues I got. So.
Yep. So if you're worried about it being presented or us saying anything to your workplace, that won't happen.
Yep.
In this space, we're here to support you in your learning. So we don't go back to your workplace and say that you're having issues with your reading and writing. That's all personal. We'll assist you where we can. And if we require, it doesn't seem like it at the moment, but if we require, we can bring in external support to help you in the classroom here, and no, your workplace doesn't need to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. So back to poor listening.
Yeah.
So other causes of poor listening can be jumping ahead. So this is detrimental to the listening experience. So what we do when we're listening to a speaker's message, if your mind is jumping ahead and not listening, you might overlook aspects of the conversation, or you might make judgments before all the information is present. So we just need to be really aware that we try not to jump ahead and we listen to everything that the speaker's got to say. And there also might be language barriers. So we live in a very multicultural society of people with different races, religions, the whole lot. So if there are language barriers, such as someone not being native English speaking or having a speech problem, it can really create difficulty in how the listener takes in what's being said. So sometimes we might need to change the way that we talk so that somebody can actively listen.
Yep.
Especially in the call centre, you might have somebody ring up who doesn't totally understand what you're saying. So how would you know that they're listening to you, or they understand and are actively listening to you?
They communicate back to us, but if they can't communicate or they don't, we can't talk back to them, then we do have other people that can assist them further. So we pass them on. But yeah, just if they can communicate back to us, we know that they understand.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of questioning back to make sure they have that active listening and understanding.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So is there any areas where you've had somebody not listen to you in your workspace and you know that they're not actively listening? How have you identified that they're not actively listening?
No, I'm not. There's been some disgruntled ones ring up that they just don't want to listen, so they're talking over you and stuff like that, I guess. You've just got to try and communicate, like try and break down that communication barrier and talk to them, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for sharing. So we're going to move on now that we've looked at what is effective listening and what is poor listening. We're going to have a look at this video and we're going to give some feedback. So I'm going to play the video for you. It's about active listening. You'll probably enjoy it. And then we're going to identify examples of poor listening that showed up in the video. So just as the video is going through, just make a note of some of the things that he's doing that is not active listening. And then we're going to look at what are some other barriers to active listening.
Yep.
So you're right for me to play the video?
Yep.
You're okay with videos being played?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a bit interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just let me stop this. Go back into here. Alright, so what did you think of that video?
Yeah, no, he wasn't really interested.
Yeah, so can we identify some examples of poor listening from the
Yeah.
video?
Yeah, so he was yawning, so he wasn't really listening, he was yawning. And he was looking around the room till he found the spider. He was on his phone, and he initially kept interrupting her and wouldn't let her talk.
Yeah, so there are a lot of examples of poor listening in that video, like you said, interrupting, then no eye contact, like you said that he was distracted, he was looking at his phone, he was staring into the distance at one spot, just not taking any notice of what she was saying, scratching, yawning, there was no non-verbal cues, and then he wasn't doing those and yes and reading back. So that was a really, really good example of bad listening.
Yeah.
So what are some other barriers that we went through to active listening? So what could he have done?
He could have closed his computer straight away and just focused on her when she walked in with an issue. Yeah.
Is there anything else he could have done, do you think?
Just make sure that she knew that he was communicating. Just waited for her to say what the issue was, and then find out what the issue was before he spoke.
Yeah. But what do you think you would have done in this situation if someone was listening so badly?
And probably what she did, walk out.
Walk out, yeah. And then maybe catch up with him and send him an email and send him, find a time that he's not so distracted and he has time to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had somebody like this in your life?
No, not that I can think of, but it happens.
It does happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really good example, especially if you're on the phone in a call centre and working around teammates. This is a really good example of what it's like to be on the other side.
Yeah.
And you just be aware of how you're communicating with people.
Yep.
Have you
Definitely.
got any questions? Anything you want to add to that part of the conversation?
No, not really, I don't think.
No? No. How do you think she handled that, the lady in that video?
Yeah, she hung on for a little bit long. Yeah, well, he wasn't listening, so I probably would have walked out a bit earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. It was also quite rude, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How he spoke to her and
Yeah, definitely.
how he was just very, very rude, and I don't feel he was very respectful to her in that video, and she was trying very hard.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's active listening. So that's the end of the content that we've gone through for active listening. Do you have any questions on anything we've done so far?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry, we don't want to watch that again, do we? Okay. So the learning outcomes covered in this session were demonstrating active listening. So we're going to do some review questions on how can you show that you're active listening?
Yeah, just if you're in the middle of something, just put it aside and actually look at the person and be focused with them.
Yeah. And responding with questions on what they ask, clarifying what they want you to do.
Yep.
That kind of thing. And what happens when you don't actively listen?
You just don't have that bond, you don't have that communication.
Yeah. And that's when misunderstandings and things can come into it, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. So outcomes that were covered in this in the last session were communicating effectively with others, and in this session we've covered off on active listening skills. So that was part of our communication toolbox that we went through on the last one. So active listening, we're going to move on to questioning skills, verbal skills and non-verbal skills for the rest of the course. In our next session we're going to use verbal skills to seek and convey information. So verbal skills where we're using our voice, as opposed to non-verbal skills where it's more your body and eye contact and that. Thanks for your time this session. I really do appreciate it. I do have a learner evaluation form that I'll get you to fill out.
Yep, no worries.
That's basically to help me improve. So this is all part of my communication, that learner evaluation form. So I'd really like you to be honest in that for me. And then after that's filled out, we're going to have a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back for the last session. So thanks very much, John. Is there no questions, no further questions?
No, all good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.